All right, welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Fanon, and in this video, Eddie Hearn has said some things that have led people to believe that Shakur Stevenson didn't want the Gervonta Davis fight or didn't ask for them to seek out a fight with Gervonta Davis as part of a deal with Matchroom Boxing. But at the same time, it is said by the same person, Mr. Hearn, that he doesn't see Gervonta fighting anybody but Shakur next. Let's solve this riddle in this video. All right, welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Fanon. And in this video, we're going to be in 135 pound division, where we try to settle on exactly who's going to be fighting who next, which of the champions will be fighting each other in that division, or champions fighting top contenders. But we're just kind of hanging out there right now as we wait for what Gervonta is going to do next, what Shakur is going to do next, and not just as a fighter, as far as the fighter that he will fight against, but also as to what promotional outfit or network that he's going to be fighting on. Well, there's been some interviews that have been given out. Obviously, this, in the lead into the Terrence Crawford versus Israel Madrimov fight, which will be taking place in LA this next Saturday, August 3rd. In the lead into that, Eddie Hearn, who is the promoter for Israel Madrimov, and I do think is probably doing the organization and for the promotion for the fight overall, talked about Shakur Stevenson and said that they are trying to sign Shakur Stevenson, that Shakur Stevenson asked them about some fights that could be made, and would they be able to make them if he went over to Matchroom? This is my assumption of why the conversation came up. And of the people that were mentioned by Shakur Stevenson, according to Eddie Hearn, those people did not include Gervonta Davis. So it is reasonable to suspect that Shakur Stevenson did not ask him about that because, hey, man, that's what the man said. Don't know why he would lie about it. So if Shakur didn't ask Eddie Hearn about a fight with Gervonta Davis and whether that was possible if Shakur Stevenson signed with Eddie Hearn, does that mean that Shakur Stevenson is not interested in that fight? I would have to say not necessarily. It could just be the case that Shakur Stevenson didn't ask him about it because he knows full well that Eddie Hearn is not capable in and of himself to get him a Gervonta Davis fight. Shakur himself needs to go and seek out Gervonta Davis and see if Gervonta Davis wants to fight, and then build into his contract with Eddie Hearn how to get away from the contract with Eddie Hearn to go fight over there. So it could be just that he has real visibility into or understanding into, what is possible for Eddie Hearn to get done for him. Now, do I think, I'm sorry. There was also something else that was mentioned by Eddie Hearn that seemed to be a bit of a contradiction. Some people asked me about that, but I don't really see a contradiction because, the statement was by Eddie Hearn, where Eddie said that he saw the next fight for Gervonta Davis being Shakur Stevenson because Gervonta had his hopes up to get the fight with Vasily Lomachenko. That fight didn't go through. Everybody else is busy. Shakur Stevenson is a free agent and doesn't have a fight scheduled. That seems like that is the easiest and most likely route for Gervonta. So are those two things contradictory? No, they're really not, because one, in the first issue, it is whether or not Shakur Stevenson asked Eddie Hearn, whether he'd be able to make the fight. And the other one is just about whether or not Gervonta Davis would fight Shakur Stevenson. So to me, those two particular issues are not necessarily connected. But my overall opinion on this is Eddie Hearn ain't signed. Gervonta Davis is not signed to Eddie Hearn. And neither is Shakur Stevenson as of right now. So really, Shakur Stevenson asking Eddie Hearn, hey, man, what fights do you think you can get me? You know, if I sign with you, seems to me to be just about a little bit just due diligence. But as far as, you know, looking at all of the different options that he has. However, I wouldn't take it to mean that Shakur Stevenson doesn't want to fight Gervonta Davis, but because he didn't ask him. But at the end of the day, again, Eddie Hearn is not his promoter yet. So what he says, you can take it with a grain of salt. It means what it means. I'm not saying that the man is not telling the truth. I have no reason to believe that Eddie Hearn would be lying about the conversation. At the same time, though, not really carrying. He's not really carrying a lot of weight, in the discussion. Now, people keep talking about whether or not that fight was going to get made for November 23rd. That fight, that went away. And at least these continued conversations put to rest the idea that fight that people put out there on Twitter and on YouTube saying that it was done. You know, at least people are not running around thinking or wondering whether or not that's true or not. But you would be amazed at how many people how long it really takes for real information to overcome the fake information, that is put out about these fighters. But at the end of the day, I'm optimistic that we will eventually see this fight with Shakur and Gervonta, because I don't think, there's only so many places either one of those guys can go. I don't believe that Shakur Stevenson is going to be somebody that's going to go up to 147 pounds. I think he's going to be at 135. He may, in a couple of years, get to 140, but I don't see him at 147 pounds. Same thing for Gervonta. I see him at 135, maybe get up to 140 if he takes that Pitbull Cruz fight or something like that. But even then, he's probably going to still be back down at 135. So they are going to be around each other for a very long time. And as a result of being around each other for a very long time in the same weight division, eventually it's got to pop off. Unless Gervonta Davis or Shakur Stevenson decide to turn into Canelo Alvarez and just stare David Benavidez in the face for year after year after year after year and just act like he ain't standing there while you fight guys that are nowhere near as good as him. But I don't see that taking place with either of these guys. But anyway, that's my take on the matter. Please let me know what you think in the comment section. And with that, I'm out. Deuces.